Hi all, welcome to the channel. This is Airy Knight of the Pseudo Posse, and today we are going to cover a wide range of topics on Alpha 21, including bandits, the new learning by looting system, water simulation, and a lightning round containing several smaller topics. These will be timestamped in the description below, so feel free to jump to the topic of your interest. At the time of editing this video, there were 40 pages in Alpha 21 Dev Diary. Link in the description below. I read all of those pages, so you don't have to. All the following discussion points are taken directly from the Alpha 21 Dev Diary thread and were stated by the devs, and don't include any of my opinions or interpretations unless otherwise explicitly stated. So, elephant in the room, when is Alpha 21 coming out? Here are some comments made by the devs that sum that up pretty clearly. And when I say clearly, that it's not clear. Who the hell knows when it's coming out? It's coming out when it's done. Now on to bandits. These have been coming down the pipeline for a long time, and one of the features that I'm most excited about. While mentioned in the Alpha 21 Dev Diary thread, it isn't yet included on the confirmed features list on the first post. So we'll wait and see with this one. Till then, here's everything we know so far. Bandits should consist of ranged melee variants, and potentially some may have both capabilities. One of the most recent bandit items being worked on is that bandits may now hold and use a club melee weapon. As of now, the player will actually be able to pick up said weapon if the bandit dies and drops it. However, it is a gimped copy of the club, such that bandits don't just fucking wreck you. Higher game staged bandits will most likely get a strength bonus, making them hit harder with the same club. Initially, bandits will path and behave very similarly to the zombies, or worse, except they'll have weapons. Eventually, they will have more sophisticated actions, but the starting point will initially be very basic. We can expect that zombies and bandits will be able to attack each other, and I assume that includes animals as well. Bandits are essentially zombies with weapons, but exhibit different behavior. They'll be able to jump, crouch, find cover, hide, and wait to ambush you. However, since there aren't any DMVs in the world, they haven't yet gotten their licenses, so they won't be able to drive vehicles. They will be hostile. Possibly later there could be neutral or friendly ones belonging to a faction. They will not be able to loot or destroy things unless they are in their path, just like the zombie AI currently does. Bandits should be wandering both inside and outside POIs, and probably will drop loot, but should be higher rarity loot bags, as bandits themselves will be more rare. Why more rare, you ask? Well, simply, a bandit will take more performance. For example, if a bandit takes 2 times the performance of a zombie, then they wouldn't want to be more than half of them in the world compared to the number of zombies a computer can manage and still have a reasonable FPS. Now that doesn't mean the world will have bandits everywhere, just half as much. Bandits should be rare because this is a zombie game and 99% of the population is dead or a zombie. If there are various factions, bandits of the same faction will have some type of coordination. That sounds very vague to me, but I guess we can speculate here. Maybe that means some basic squad-like logic, some communication between the bandits. Perhaps that means they're just simply adversarial to other factions if they come across them. Who really knows what level of coordination we can expect? But I don't think it's going to be very sophisticated, based on previous dev comments. Another exciting feature is that bandit kill squads could be akin to the Blood Moon Horde. So what that basically means is that these kill squads would act as a Blood Moon Horde instead of zombies. You would have a set group of bandits at whatever time they decided to spawn. I personally feel that if they spawn in regular intervals like a zombie horde, that wouldn't really fit their nature. As to me, bandits should be roguish, sneaky, and why would they attack the same time and place on the regular? It should be unpredictable in my opinion. Lastly, bandits have their own specific clothing, different from the player, for each bandit type and tier. Moving on to the new learning by looting system. There are now 23 new skills to govern crafting. They're going to be outside of the existing attributes. For these 23 new skills, there are going to be 23 new magazines added to the loot. I do think not naming it pointed sticks was a wasted opportunity. Perks no longer unlock recipes or govern crafting at all. Perks where its main value was a recipe unlock are being reworked to add value. Some example of these might include Physician, Advanced Engineering, and Grease Monkey. The only schematics that still unlock recipes are mod attachments. Crafting skill is increased by finding and reading magazines. Each tech level has a separate range in the skill spectrum, so that you have to work up through primitive tech to reach iron tech and then finally steel tech. Being able to craft a blue stone axe no longer means you can craft a blue iron or steel axe. All crafting ranges now do not overlap. For robotics, for example, you unlock pipe batons at level 1, and once you reach level 11, you'll unlock robotic sledges. At level 23, you will unlock stun batons, 39 robotic turrets, and at 68 robotic drones. Some skills have 100 levels, but others have less depending on how many unlocks there are for recipes. Skill magazines can be found, bought, and/or received as quest rewards. The topic of the magazine matches the location you would expect to find it in the world. Magazines are most likely to be found in places that match up thematically with their topic, so you will find more mechanical-themed magazines at gas stations and cooking magazines in kitchens than vice versa. Wonder what you'll find in there? But you will also find a random mix of everything everywhere. Getting a bookshelf or filing cabinet or mailbox that is just paper is pretty rare now. You can find the type of magazines you are after also by looting an appropriate type of crate. For example, gun crates have gun magazines. Pop and pill crates have medical magazines. Mo Power has tech magazines. Now that it takes great effort to reach top skill level crafting, the devs are considering allowing to craft quality 6 items. The original point of the crafting cap was to disallow those that never looted from getting quality 6 gear just from leveling high enough and dumping enough skill points and getting that crafting tier. Now that looting is tied to crafting skill, it seems logical, at least to me, that the original point of the crafting cap is now moot. So, this is not definitive, but it is possible. This rework also regroups existing crafting recipes. For example, light and heavy armor are no longer governed under different attributes, rather a single armor crafting skill. First cloth and scrap armor sets are opened at tier 1, and you work your way through tier 5. Then leather and iron armor sets are opened starting at tier 1 and progressing to tier 5, and then finally military and steel armor sets are open starting at tier 1, progressing to tier 5. You will learn the whole set of each version of light and heavy armor at those unlocked skill levels. Chemistry Station and the Crucible and new Workstation are all unlocked through the Workstation skill tree. And yes, you heard that right, there is a new Workstation, no details on that yet. And for those worrying about it taking too long to forge up, don't. You can always perk into what you really want to find, and you'll have a greater chance of those things showing up. Forges. The new Forge Ahead magazine will increase your looting chances of unlocking the recipe for forges. Also, go loot containers in working stiffs and gas stations for a better chance at finding magazines for workstations. More industrial and hardware mechanics oriented buildings, even without parking into those workstations. What this all really means is that there now exists a trade-off of doing a quest in a random POI that may not have the magazines you want versus going to those specific buildings to have a better chance. You do get a random bundle of magazines as a quest reward though, and you can actually buy magazines from the shop as well. You'll still bring home plenty of magazines outside your perk. And as I mentioned before, most paper drops in bookshelves and piles have been replaced by magazines, so they are much more satisfying. Perks now govern the probability of finding like-themed magazines and parts for those recipes. Perk into shotguns, and you will notice more shotgun magazines and shotgun parts appearing in the world. So now you'll find the crafting parts for what you're looking for instead of just some random spear parts or whatever. The new system weights the loot to what the player needs. When you max out a skill, the probability bonus granted by perks for finding the corresponding magazine for that skill drops off. The magazine will still show up randomly in loot, but no longer will have a boost. The probability boost for finding matching parts, however, will still remain. Now onto water. Water has been fudged up for a very long time, And so there is a very good chance that it's going to make it into A21 finally. Water is no longer a block, but a water voxel. What that means is that water voxels flow into neighboring voxels that are marked to allow it. For example, water can flow into grass, fences, and even pole blocks. Placing a solid block on water would remove water. Other blocks would sit in the water. No changes have really been made to water rendering, just the simulation. Rendering will probably not be that different. Water does not flow or fall continuously like a river or waterfall. Water can fall, but it does not really work for waterfalls, as water would just drain and no more falling water. Basically, no infinite water source. The game is not a real water simulator, so don't expect Subnautica here. The new water sim is designed to be performant and work in a basic fashion. Swimming animations or underwater animations are not currently planned for players or NPCs. Since the old water sim was heavily throttled, it didn't really work well, and some bugs may have resulted from that. Since new water will actually do stuff, performance could be worse than the current broken water. However, don't be scared, it should be designed to not be a resource hog and work within reasonable limits. You may ask, will player movement through water be the same? Poor movement of the player before was actually a bug as far as the dev's concerned with the player code and not the water's fault. So at some point in the future, we may see improvement with the player movement in water. Now we're going to jump to the lightning round. Included in the game now will be interactive environmental hazards. Here is an example released by the devs, link in the description below. It shows a flaming broken gas pipe blocking the way. You'll need to turn the valve to turn off the gas flow, and this valve will be located in a different area. There are no special tools required to turn off this valve, and there always exists the potential for additional hazards to be added, like, for example, radiation hazards. And if they were to be added, they would most likely have some sort of armor or armor mod to negate or lessen the effects. Double doors are also being added. Partially damaged doors with large holes can be shot and meleeed through to damage enemies on the other side. As for armor, the new outfit system is still a thing, and there is a programmer working on it full-time. Images of the new iron armor and new commando military armor have already been released, and at this point changes to armor are just visual. How properties might change depends on the new outfit feature, which has not yet been implemented. As for vehicles, devs would like more vehicles. Currently, all future shown vehicles are going to be for decor only. No time currently allotted for Alpha 21, but it could happen if time permits. If they ever add a helicopter, it will fly like a helicopter and be able to hover. A gyrocopter flies like an airplane, so it'll be completely different from that. The only exceptions to that might be a possible raft, possible helicopter as mentioned previously, and a possible joke blimp that doubles as a possible joke submarine depending on where you drive it. Please, 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 please put this in. I never knew I wanted it, but now that I know it exists, I can't live without it. So please, devs, put that one in. As for additional shapes, there are currently 230 plus shapes added to Alpha 21. Maybe some shapes that allow for seamless vertical to horizontal 3-meter shafts. Maybe some corner pieces for 5-meter and 7-meter tunnels. I created some custom versions of these. Links to those videos in the description below. But yeah, it would definitely be nice to have some additional shapes always. And the behemoth zombie that was almost added in a previous alpha is now dead and will not be added to the game. Boss zombies might be a thing, but they will just be higher HP versions of the ones we already have. No unique zombies will be added for this purpose. In addition, there's going to be new places of interest. Apparently, Trader Bob has had a makeover, and bourbon is now a thing in-game. What that means, I don't know. Maybe a higher tier version of beer. There's also updated and new decorative vehicle mods, and additional advanced world generation options such as a biome percent sliders. Well, yeah, that is going to conclude the lightning round. I hope all this information will be of interest to you all. It certainly was to me. I'll continue to make additional videos as more information becomes available. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for additional content on this channel. This is Airy Knight of the Pseudo Posse signing off. See you next time.